We better have sound. We better have sound. Because it's good on my end here. Let me know, fellas. Let me know if we have sound, man. We're starting this bad boy over. Again, last night we drilled Florida Atlantic, we drilled Western Michigan, we drilled Stanford, hit all of those. We had the Yankees, we had the Orioles parlayed at plus 166. That's where it finished up at. We are 10-2 over the past 2 weeks. We're up well over 30 units. It's as good of a start as I've had in 20 years. This is one of the best starts I've ever had. Hopefully, I get some feedback in a second that I have sound. I need to have sound. I better have sound. Anyways, I'm gonna have to yank out the phone and go crazy. I'm gonna have to do it because this is a huge day. We got yes, here we go. Let's rock. Talk about last night. Yes, real quickly. We drilled last night. We drilled Florida Atlantic, Western Michigan, and Stanford. All three of them, covered easily. What's crazy is the last 7 games I think we've hit with college football. I've teased them. I've bet them straight up. I haven't thrown any parlays out yet. And I probably should have. I'd be way up. But we're up over 30 units over the past 2 weeks. We're 10-2 against the spread. Haven't even messed with money lines yet. We haven't needed to. Because look, what am I doing here? I'm looking at a lot of matchups. And if you're paying attention here, there's one conference that's just kicking ass. And that's the MAC. The MAC conference is absolutely on fire. I looked the other day, and I think they have between Western Michigan, University of Buffalo, and Toledo, those 3 just covered so easily. So you got to watch the MAC, and there's a lot of MAC games in action today. Let's start with one. There's a huge game, and this line blows. This line really blows my mind, and that is Illinois State, the MAC, is playing Iowa. Okay, the line is plus 24. It's plus 24 points. Illinois State is not that bad. Iowa's got a great defense. You've seen them over the past few years. I don't think they could score on a women's college field hockey team. That's how bad their offense is, Iowa. I'm looking at the 24 points, and that just jumps out at me. I don't think Iowa may not score 24 points. They might win 18-3. You ever see those weird scores in Iowa? 8-2. But I like Illinois State right off the bat, getting 24 points at Iowa. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line. I'm going to do that. You know what the money line is? Plus 1,400. Plus 1,400. You throw $50 on it, and Illinois State pulls this off. There's $700. That's value. That is value. So I have to put a little on Illinois. Some of you think I'm crazy, but some of you thought I was crazy last week when I took Georgia Tech on the money line plus 11.5. I took them in plus 400. That was solid. So you got to look at a lot of these money line games. But let's start off today. Today is just a packed slate. And it's crazy. The best game of the day is now the scariest game to bet. Monday, I was all over Georgia at minus 13.5, playing Clemson. That's a noon game. It's 10:43 right now, so I got to get these in so you guys can get to the betting tables, baby. Georgia was minus 13.5, and I liked them. I said, this looks like Georgia 3 touchdown. They're that good. The line is down to 10.5 right now. That scares the shit out of me now because, if you know anything about Clemson, I have a nephew that goes there. The students don't like Dabo Swinney. They don't like him because he's not interested at all in the transfer portal. He didn't have anyone coming in. He has enough confidence in the players he has. Their offense was down last year. They have a good defense returning. But my whole point is this, 10.5 points. If Clemson doesn't turn the ball over and they run a little clock, I can see Georgia winning this game by 7, 8, 9 points. I really can. I'm not touching the game straight up. My boy Tommy G over at 40 bets. He likes the under in this game, 49.5. And that actually makes sense to me. If you're going to bet anything on this, I would bet the under. I am using Georgia in a tease, and I'll give you that tease. That's one of the few things I'll give you at the end of this pod, this quick pod, Saturday, first big day of college football. I'm excited, man. I am excited because we just killed it Friday and Saturday, Thursday and Friday night. Hopefully today's solid. The other big game at noon, and I don't know why the hell they have these games at noon, the two best games, you got Penn State playing at West Virginia. This is one of the best games of the day. That place is going to be packed in West Virginia. Those mutants down there, they've been kicking off probably at 6, 7 o'clock a.m. They're drunk right now. Somebody's sister's getting it in the back of the bushes. You know, West Virginia. What are you going to do? It's just where it is. But Penn State is minus 7.5, and everybody I know is all over Penn State. This game scares the shit out of me. You can't give West Virginia 7.5 points. I don't care if they're playing Dallas. You can't give them that in West Virginia. You ever been to West Virginia? It's just moonshine. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. West Virginia could win this game. They could knock Penn State, number 8, out of it today. I don't like the game. I'm going to watch it. I don't like the game. I don't like anything about it. I am going to sit back and watch it. I like Illinois State. Getting, look at that. The line's down to 21.5. 21.5 right now on Illinois State. That thing started at 24 last night. It was down to 23 this morning. It's 20. You know what that means? That's the smart money. That's the smart money going in on Illinois State to knock it down to 21.5. I love Illinois State getting 3 touchdowns against Iowa. Iowa may not score 22 points. And I've told you, I'm going to sprinkle it on the money line. Plus 1,400. Throw 50 on it. You might get 700 back. I like Illinois State. As we go down further, another game that kind of looks a little shady is Oklahoma State, who's number 17 in the country, supposed to have a great offense this year. They're playing South Dakota State at home, minus 11.5. You know about the Dakotas. If you saw North Dakota State a couple nights ago, which we took North Dakota State plus 9.5 in Colorado, who's supposed to be great this year. North Dakota State covered easily. If I was going to bet this game, which I'm not, but if I was going to bet this game, I'd take South Dakota State and the points, 11.5 at Oklahoma State. They have good players. There's nothing else to do in the Dakotas. What do? You frack and you play football and basketball. They're decent in basketball, but that's it. It's fracking and football up there. I like South Dakota State. If I was going to bet it, I'm not. Now look, at 3:30 today, there's a couple games I like, and I don't like laying a huge spread, but Texas is playing at home against Colorado State. 3:30. Texas is 4 in the country. They got to make a statement. Colorado State does not have a great defense. They haven't had a good team in years. They're going into Texas. This score could be 52-10. 56-14. I do see Texas covering the 34.5. I mean, if you don't like that, use them in a tease. But I do think they're going to win closer by more than 34.5. I do like this game. That brings me to the next game. This is a game I love, and I'm using it in some teasers. Miami plays at Florida. Yes, they go to Gainesville today at 3:30. They're laying 2.5. The money line is minus 150. I'm taking the money line. I think Miami wins this game. It wouldn't surprise me if they won by 2. The line looks shady, but I do think they win this game. Florida has lost everything. This coach is fired this year. Mark my words. I don't care what happens. He may not make it through the season. I think he will be gone after this year. Florida is just getting worse. They're not getting the players they used to get, and it's no excuse. How's Florida State and Miami getting players, and Florida isn't? Probably the nicest college out of 3 of them. Miami's pretty nice too, though. If you've ever been in Miami, it's all hot New York girls that go down there, and they don't really tan well. They get red, but, they're wild. So Miami, minus 2.5. I'll take the money line at 150. I do like them. Then you got Akron and Ohio State. Ohio State minus 48.5. If you're going to play that, I'd probably take Ohio State. I'm not touching it. The 7 o'clock game right here, Western Kentucky, Alabama. If you want this game, and I really like this game, I have an in on this game and one other one. Listen, go to Whop, join the Degenerate Gamblers. What is it, $24.99 a month? Join. You get all kinds of extra info. It's a good community. It's guys just talking football, who we like, who we don't like. And I'll give you that game. But I like that game. I like that game a lot. Moving down a little bit, Fresno State at Michigan. Fresno State at Michigan. Michigan's minus 20.5. Shouldn't that be more? Michigan's got problems, man. They got problems. Harbaugh left them in disarray. If anything, I would take Fresno State in the points at Michigan. Notre Dame at Texas A&M. A lot of people are pissed at me right now because I think Texas A&M wins this game. I don't think Notre Dame's that good. Notre Dame has the weakest schedule this year that any team has had in decades. Their schedule, this is their game. This is the toughest game of the season, Texas A&M. Tonight in Texas A&M, it's going to be wild. Texas A&M has good players. They're minus 2.5. I'll take the money line at minus 152. I'll give you a good parlay. I'd take Miami and Texas A&M. I'd put a little on the money line parlays. It's going to be positive. But I like that game a lot. Listen, there's two games. Go over to Whop. Go over to the Degenerate Gamblers and join. And you're going to get the Alabama Western Kentucky game. And you're going to get the Boise State at Georgia Southern game. And that could be a moneymaker. I've made some phone calls this week on that game. That could be a moneymaker. Boise State minus 12.5, picked to win the Mountain West. Georgia Southern, lost a lot on their offense. Have the running backs back, got in some wide receivers. The defense is intact. Got another solid linebacker. That game in Old Dominion at South Carolina, those two. Go to WAP, join the Degenerate Gamblers. It's a good crew, and you're going to have access to these games all day and all night long. As you go down, we have some later games tonight. I'll give you another huge spread. Furman's playing Ole Miss, 42.5. Guys, Ole Miss is 6th in the country. Lane Kiffin, if there's not a bigger dickhead in the world that's going to want to run up and score 70 points against Furman, it's Lane Kiffin. 42.5. I thought that line would be 50. It's 42.5. They're probably going to have 42 by halftime. That's just the way it is. My boy David Abbott, he says Ohio State first game quarters over. Probably. I would say so. I'd say you're probably right. But Akron, look what conference it's in the MAC. The MAC's doing wild shit, man. The MAC is doing wild stuff. Another game. I'll give you this one. Indiana just took James Madison's head coach. Remember how good James Madison was last year? They kind of got screwed. Should have kind of probably had a chance for the playoffs, but they didn't. Well, he took a couple players, went to Indiana University, and they play Florida International today. The line is 21.5. When I see FIU, I think FAU, who basically played last night, who we were all over Florida Atlantic, and covered easily against Michigan State. So now you have another Florida school, more like a mid-major, playing Indiana University out of the Big Ten, getting 21.5. I'll take Florida International all day long. They have players. Look, if you know anything about states like Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, these kids are 8, 9 years old, man. When they go out to recess, they don't play basketball. They go out and they kick the shit out of each other. They just run around. There used to be a game back in the 70s and 80s. It used to be called, you can't even say this now, but it used to be called Smear the Queer. That's what it was called. I mean, it's wrong. Politically, it's wrong. But that's what these kids play. I mean, they have a football and they just knock the shit out of each other. I know because I used to teach down there and watch them. And you can tell which kids in fifth and sixth grade are going to play for Alabama and University of Georgia, Georgia Southern. There's just tons of them in Florida, Alabama. That's all they do. They're outside year round and they're just knocking the shit out of each other. So I like Florida International. I'll take the 3 touchdowns and a half, 1 and a hook. I will take them over Indiana University tonight. It's just what it is. Again, Western Kentucky and Alabama. Go over to Whop, $24.99. Join. I'll give you that game. I'll give you the Boise Georgia Southern game. Those I think are money makers. I like Texas A&M money line. I like Miami money line. Here's one for you. I'm going to give you 2 of the worst teams to bet. 2 of the worst teams to bet. Probably the worst team in the MAC. And the MAC's on fire. Kent State. Kent State's playing Pitt, who's lost just about everybody. And they're playing at Pitt. I don't care what the line is. Wouldn't take either team. But the over-under is 55.5. Kent State may not score. Pitt may score 3 touchdowns. I don't see that thing coming close to the over on the Kent State Pitt game. I just see it under. Here's another one. I'll give you this one. You got to go with Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio won 11 games last year in the MAC. They're playing at Northwestern. They're plus 3.5. Northwestern's going to have to play unbelievable to beat Miami, Ohio, who has everybody back. They're loaded. Great coach, great defense, good receivers, good running back, good quarterback. They're playing Northwestern of the Big Ten. I'll take Miami, Ohio all day long plus 3.5. I'll sprinkle some on that money line. How can you not? Again, I like Texas to just light it up against Colorado State. You want the Boise State, Georgia Southern, Western Kentucky, Bama. You want those? Go over to Whop. Go over to Degenerate Gamblers. And I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave you with a tease. This is my tease of the week. And I think we're 2-0 with teases. But the tease of the week right now is I'm going to take University of Georgia minus 6.5. I'm going to take University of Miami plus 3.5. And I'm going to take LSU Monday night plus 1.5. Tease that down. Plus 170. Plus 170. If Georgia wins by a touchdown, if Miami loses by a field goal, I think they win. If LSU loses by a 1.5, I think they win. You're plus 170. And I'm going to leave you with last night we crushed the Yankees Orioles at plus 166. Tonight, Yankees win, Orioles win. They're plus 161. How do you not bet that? These 2 teams are in a fight right now. I will toss some cash on that parlay again at plus 161 Yankees Orioles. Guys, it's going to be a huge day. I'm going to be on the Discord all day, tossing in live bets, getting crazy. I appreciate you guys listening. We have a couple guests coming on for NFL next week. And also Monday, I will be live again because we got another game Monday night, Boston College and Florida State. Will Florida State bounce back after that debacle against Georgia Tech, which wasn't really a debacle? I thought Georgia Tech would win that game. People, the Sharpies had that one wrong. But hey, join us, Degenerate Gamblers. We're just getting better. It's going to be a wild year, guys. It's going to be wild. Let's cash. Big Saturday, baby.